This is for young men that want to have a family one day, have children, and leave a legacy. And I thought I'd share my collective wisdom as someone who's been actively involved in men's work, led men's groups for many years, worked with some of the top experts in the area of helping men. And it came about because there was a young man that had a dog and was taking such good care of it. I jokingly said, "Well, you clearly want to be a father one day, don't you?" And he just responded. And I said, "And I'm clear you'd be a great one." I want to share some of my ideas because it's pretty tough for young men today. And our society isn't very open to having compassion for males, in my experience. And this is just an opening of a conversation. But let's just start with, from a young man's perspective, if I said, I know you want to go on a trip, it's a long road trip, and there's over 51% chance you're going to have a severe accident, which will have you lose your car, potentially injure you, have you lose lots of money, and then injure someone you care about in the process. You'd probably think twice before you were going to take that invitation. Even though it seemed kind of exciting, you might think twice. The divorce rate's really quite high. Women generally initiate divorce. Men generally don't turn out too well in the court system with access to their children. And it doesn't mean there aren't pockets where this is shifted, but it looks like the odds are against them. Well, when the odds are against you in anything you're doing, you need to do more preparation. And I'm an advocate of the idea a man needs to know where he's going first before he asks who he wants to go with him. And as someone who had a practice marriage where I kind of did it the other way around, I wasn't real clear other than I wanted to work at a corporate job. I had that, but I read all these little personal help books that said how important it was to put the relationship first, and I really got things out of balance. And luckily, it ended, and now I have an extraordinary marriage to a wonderful woman. Let's talk about a few of the things that are important. First of all, my advice is work on yourself. And the fundamental thing for young men is understand you're either your word or you're nothing. I'm going to repeat that. You're either your word or you're nothing. Start working on a core principle of if you say you'll do something and you don't, that's a big issue. Learning to be able to say no and yes to the important things, and understand if you promise something, have a structure to keep it. And then ask, what do you want your life to be about? What do you want to do? Because even if you want to have a family, you want to commit to a game big enough that will inspire your kids. And then find ways to sharpen those skills and focus on that first, along with getting your integrity in order. Of course, getting your finances in order and other things are pretty important. Now, the next thing is be suspicious of just your feelings and being seduced by something that seems very attractive. If your real commitment is the highest probability of a long-term relationship lasting. Because if you do get married and have kids, unless something drastically changes and something doesn't work, you're going to end up on the short end of the stick, statistically. Some things you want to do is give enough time to really understand how both of you handle stressful situations. Are you both committed to resolving things? So the partner, if they make a mistake, do they blame other people? Or do you? The I am a victim, I am strong is not a good mix. And having a good story means it's usually unresolved. Also, check out their relationship for women with their father is pretty important, or it's been resolved in some ways. I've seen both. Not that their relationship with their mother isn't important, but something about their relationship with their father is critical. If things didn't work out, have they found a way to resolve it. It doesn't mean make perfect peace with it, but resolve it. Going on longer trips, doing some events that will get you both tested just naturally. And of course, with online, are they constantly seeking attention? Well, guess what? They're even if you're with them, they're probably always shopping. Do they compliment you? Because this idea of equality, I think, is crap for most workable relationships. Do they compliment you? Do you have an experience of being respected? My wife has a wonderful way of, when needed, giving feedback that isn't shaming. I'd love to get her input on it because I think she could write a book just on that. Is there family support systems? A lot of the traditional ideas of courting over time as I get older look like a good idea, getting the family's involvement to see if there's a good probability of success. Even some people I've known that have arranged marriages seem to have outlasted other marriages. That doesn't work so well with most Americans, but it's fascinating. Values. Is there alignment with values? Are they spiteful? This is an important thing to watch out for. There's a difference between them standing up for you when it's the right time and being spiteful towards things. And also, are you ready to understand what taking a leadership role means? It's a responsibility. It's taking input. It's just like a good leader doesn't just charge ahead without any input. It's taking input. It's taking responsibility for that leadership. One of the things I did after my practice marriage ended is I took a moment and wrote down what I'd like in a partner. And then I wrote down what would that person be attracted to. And then I looked at where I wanted to go and where was overlap with that. And then where I wanted to go and would be things that would also be attracted to this partner I wanted, work on myself and let go of trying to find that person. Well, I was dating Barbara and my neighbor came over and said, well, is she the one? What are you talking about? And I had forgot that I told my neighbor about this kind of project of, again, I knew where I wanted to go in my mission. And now I went, okay, who would I like to be my partner? And then what would be attractive to them? And then work on myself on those. And I'd forgot about it. So I mentioned it. Somehow Barbara found out, and I said, well, I'm going to volunteer at Duke Hospital. I was volunteering taking humor to cancer patients at the time as one of my side things. And I told her where she could look it up on the computer. And then I went in, volunteered, and then after the volunteer, I don't call anyone during that. And I'm driving home, and I called her up, and I said, how's it going? And she said, I found it, and she was in tears. I thought, oh, wow, this is a train wreck. That was a bad idea, something to do. And what she said is, that's me. And it's still true. I've known her as a friend since 1997. And then many, many, many years. And then we dated for about 4 years. And then we got married and so forth. And it's really important that you also, in my view, develop some good male friends, because in many relationships, just a lot of women friends generally doesn't work as well. I'm not against it. I have on both sides, but it's important you have core male friends, and this takes some time to develop. Often it's around doing things, but you want male friends that are real friends, not buddies. And I'm going to talk about the difference. A buddy kind of justifies your mediocrity, justifies your addictions, justifies you being less. And a real friend inspires you to be better, to be your best. So who you have around you is very important, because do they make you comfortable in living in mediocrity or pushing to be that sharpened edge of you? I'm blessed to have just a lot of great men in my life, and I've had a very long best friend in Japan, and it's evolved and improved over time through the things I've done. And of course, he married before me and still married, and he has two wonderful sons. In fact, maybe if he shares it with them, I want to say hi. They don't know me that well, but it's really important that a man that wants to have a family, especially in America, needs to understand there's a lot of stakes against him. And so he needs to build that fortitude in him, connection, and discernment in moving slow in this decision. Because don't just think some legal contract will protect you. Where are you going first? Focusing on that, developing it, making sure you are your word. Not that I don't have problems with that every day. In fact, I made a promise to somebody I'd send them something at the place I get breakfast, and I realized I didn't set up a structure to remember it. I said, I apologize. I said I'd send you this. Let me send it now. Cleaning up when you break your word and being in action on that. Let me hear your views. Check the links below for other resources. This is intended just to open a conversation. Make sure to subscribe and click the bell for videos, and watch out for books and resources I have in the links below. Wish you the best. Have a great day. This is Martin Brossman.